Welcome, Celeste and Danielle. It's a pleasure to have you back.
Thank you so much.
Excited to be here.
Okay. We're going to open with some quick fire questions, if that's okay.
Love that.
These are just more like funny questions to get the vibe going. You basically have to say if you agree or you disagree, and you choose one or the other. Your search history is more embarrassing than your worst sexual performance.
Agree?
Agree.
Dating is basically just trauma bonding over how bad your last date was.
No, disagree.
Definitely not.
Okay. Dating is basically just pitching yourself.
Agree.
Agree.
Really? Okay. Why?
It's marketing. Everyone tries to be like nice to the other, like put their best show.
I mean, you know, I'm really interesting, so.
No pitch needed. You can tell everything you need to know about someone's sex life by the pizza topping they choose.
No, disagree.
Definitely not.
I would say if they choose pineapple, I'm like, oh, you're a bit fruity.
No.
Sleeping in separate beds from your partner is perfectly acceptable if they snore or disturb you.
100%.
Definitely.
Very healthy.
Yeah.
I think it's way better to sleep away from your partner if they're snoring than to hate them all night and poke them when they're snoring.
And if you don't get enough sleep, you're a dreadful person. So then you can't have a wonderful time when you're awake together.
So you think it's something that people probably like overlook a little bit and have a bit of a hang up about it. It's such a taboo, isn't it? You know, they think you're not in love if you share separate beds.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a taboo I really want to break, because I think like people think like, oh, if you don't share the same bed, you just don't like each other. It's like you are more likely to like each other even more if you have a good night's sleep and you don't poke them when they snore.
Unless it's another type of poking. Personal space, it's healthy. Lasting 30 minutes in the bedroom is reasonable of a well-practiced man. So the actual, you know, penetrative situation. Is it reasonable to ask for 30 minutes?
I think people last a different amount of time. For me, that would be an unreasonable amount of time for me.
Not enough.
No, too much.
Really?
For that long.
She's a quickie girl.
I can get all my orgasms in just a few minutes. So.
I know she is. She always shocks me, but I'm definitely need a longer time getting into it with a lot of penetration.
I guess what I'm getting at with that question is that, you know, a lot of guys would scoff and be like, oh, no, never. That's like undoable. But
I think it's more like, why just rely on your dick? You know, there are toys, their hands, their mouth. There's so many things you can use. Like, don't be so stressed about your dick doing the penetration.
Also, I've seen guys train themselves to last so long that then they stop being able to come, which is sad.
Oh.
So, you know, you have to find that healthy middle ground.
I quite like it if they last longer, because by the time we get started, it's already finished and I'm depressed. I'm like, what have I done this for?
Yeah, maybe like 15 minutes or something. You're like, no,
Also,
30 for you. We'll see, people want different things. That's important.
Exactly. But also, you know, like, it's like sex doesn't have to end with their orgasm.
Every great relationship needs a little bit of toxic chaos to keep it alive.
I think we always have the people are different vibe. So some people like their relationships to be very boring. They really
That
just
would
like
be me. I like my relationship steady. I like predictability. I like my people to be solid and reliable.
I had a pretty wild childhood, so probably for me a little bit more wildness is needed for the mix.
You feel more comfortable in the chaos.
Yeah, my childhood was absolute chaos. So, you know, you get what you're used to. Like, you get attracted to what you're used to.
If a guy tells you he's an empath on the first date, he's most definitely a narcissist.
I wouldn't trust someone or be turned on by someone who said that. To be honest.
Me too.
That doesn't mean he's a narcissist, but it's like, what are you saying that for? You know what I mean? It feels manipulative.
Just maybe a little bit of like trying to impress as opposed to actually revealing who they are.
I think it's the nice guy thing, isn't it? I'm a good guy. I'm a nice guy. No, you're not if you have to tell me that.
If you're a nice guy, you will come across as a nice guy.
Yeah.
You know, like you can tell by your face, if you're listening, if you're asking questions that show you're interested in another person. Those are nice guy behaviors, you know?
Yeah, I don't think nice guys will actually say that they're empaths. I think they'll be like more like showing it as opposed to saying it and hoping that you'll catch it.
Today we're going to be splitting the episode into two segments. So on the first half, we're going to focus on Virgin Island and the new series 2. We're very excited. And then on the other half, we're going to be focusing on, you know, our core desires, which is something you guys have been bringing more into Somatica and you want to talk about, and I think is really interesting. So let's jump into series 2. Like, how are you feeling coming off it? Like, what's the vibe?
Season 2 is amazing. It's really exciting. I think it has so many new things that weren't in season 1. So I think everyone's up for a good watch and a good learning curve.
Yeah, I think there's just tremendous progress that's made for like almost every one of the participants, and everyone eventually like pushes themselves to at least try things and do things, but people really dive in the deep end in this season. So I'm very excited.
And so just for anyone who's not watched it, who's watching this podcast or listening to it, essentially a group of what you would describe like later in life virgins attend the island, and maybe they have like an issue with religion, or they're just like nervous, or for whatever reason, like it's just not happened for them, and you guys work with them, and sometimes they do lose their virginity, sometimes they don't lose their virginity, but it's this like therapy that they go through, and you've got somatic body workers, and what's the whole host of like different people you have on the island?
Well, we're Somatica coaches, and then there's sexological body workers and surrogate partner therapists.
Okay, and the surrogate partner is the one that people are kind of like whoa about, because it's a bit different for the mainstream.
Yeah, because it has more like nudity in it, and I think that because surrogate partners can go all the way to full-on sex, so that's kind of like shocking many times for people.
Yeah, even though that we all do it, somehow it's shocking.
Yeah. And sometimes, you know, like I know we have a lot of scenes that we do that's like very hot and sexy and seduction driven, but I feel like in some ways it can be a little bit less shocking, even though it is shocking. Did you see the reaction to episode 1?
Yeah, we've been demoing more things together, which we don't actually do very often in our classes because we usually use students to demo. So it's been fun to like, you know, play with seducing each other, even though we're not lovers.
I mean, it's been delightful to watch. Also this year, something I was curious about is obviously season 1, I guess the producers have had to go out and kind of ask people, do they want to be part of this thing, because no one's got a proof of concept or what it's about. How did they go about selecting the virgins this year? Was there more volume coming in? Were more people interested? Do you get a hand in it? Can you just let me know the process this year?
Yeah, there were so many people interested, lots of applicants, but really they do a very thorough job of like making sure everyone is appropriate for the class, and also you know, people kind of like find out about things and they're like, oh, maybe not, or maybe their parents don't approve. So in the end, it's a little bit self-selected. Like people who are really brave and ready and know that they have goals, those are the people who end up on the island, and I'm glad about that. Like I would rather that they are choosing, because it's really, really important that they get the help that they want.
Whatever she said.
You
like have any hand in the selection, or is it just the producers and that kind of thing?
They do ask us if there are like specific issues that people have that might not be a good fit for the island. So if they're like a little bit on the cusp of things, they will ask us for our professional opinion. But they're really, the producers are really, really good in selection. There's like the person who is doing it, she is the casting director. She is phenomenal. We just like in awe every time of the people that she selects for the show.
I guess there's a strong duty of care as well.
100%. Like there's so much, like they take care of the whole process from this selection part, like really making sure that people will go back as well to a supportive environment. So they talk with their parents and the support family and everyone, and just like really make sure that everyone is really in, and also throughout the whole process and after as well. Weekly support. Yeah.
So let's get into some of the characters who have come onto the island this year. Mm-hmm. The casting director's done a brilliant job, and I'm really happy to see this group like, you know, start their journey, you know, because even if people don't reach the objective of what Virgin Island is, they take so much away from it. It's clear from last year. But the main star, like, they're all main stars, but you can't not mention Bertie this year.
I know, he is the most adorable. Like, he's just so, like, trying to figure out everything, and he's so earnest and he's so appreciative. It's just lovely. He's just a wonderful human being.
So he's 24. And he works in organising charity events, and he's slightly neurodivergent, isn't he, as well? I'm not sure which path, but he's like so funny, so engaging. He kind of looks like, the Formula One racer, Max Verstappen. Mm-mm. No, he looks a little bit like him, I think. It's so interesting because I think he's the hardest from the first 2 episodes to kind of gauge initially and get involved. But as time goes on, he gets a lot more involved and a lot more hands-on, as we saw at the end of episode 2, I think. And did he touch your boobs, or what was a kiss?
I mean, I'm sure he touched my boobs at some point, but mostly I was trying to teach him how to get a woman into different positions and how to move someone really smoothly. And also, like, the way he was so much more connected and like eye contact and sensual, he really gets super sexy. Like, that was a hot session.
Go Bertie. What do you think it is about him being the most like resistant and then getting slowly comfortable?
I think that he is like, he has like he does not have any experience, and because him being neurodivergent, he also feel like he's less equipped to have experience around it because of his life experiences. But I think, like really helping him learn it step by step was that's what he needed. He needed this like step by step, loving, amazing work that he got on the island. And Celeste started this with him, which was really amazing.
When we were watching the screening, which was so amazing, so thanks for inviting me, guys, I kind of thought, whoa, Bertie, it's episode 2, calm down. Like, I thought you meant to be a virgin. You're moving around like a pro, Without revealing too much, like, can you give us any clues to his, like, journey or anything?
I just will say, like, he really dives in and he takes everything seriously. And I love that he has boundaries, too. Like, there's some things that he's like, you know what, that's not for me. And that's what we want for people, is to say, that's not for me, that's for me. But for the things that are for him, yeah, he goes for it.
Yeah. And he also willing, he has this a little bit that's not for me, but then he's willing to struggle with it a little bit. So he's actually there to jump in his own pace with the struggle of like yes, no, which I really love it about him.
I feel like as well, maybe sometimes like it's just people trying to, realize their boundaries and stuff, and it can be that as well. And it takes more people more time to like realize they want to do something or don't realize they want to do something. So that's completely fair. Reminds me of that song in A Star Is Born, what goes, I'm off the deep end. Love Bradley Cooper.
Yes.
Love Lady Gaga.
Me too.
I think there's something important to kind of around boundaries, because I think people have this like, I have a boundary that means I'm not going to do it. But I think a lot of what we see on Virgin Island is people actually expanding their capacity. But something feels like a no at the beginning, and then they sit with it. They might see someone else is doing something that they're scared of doing, which that's what I love about the group work, right? Like they're doing something, they see someone doing it, and they get to see and watch and sit with it, and then suddenly it's like, yeah, I'm actually going to try it. So we always play with this, like what feels like a boundary, and I'm not ready to do it, as opposed to like, I'm going to sit and let myself maybe change my mind, which is wonderful.
Just being honest with yourself in the moment, I guess, as well, and what you're comfortable with. Another interesting contestant that I found quite fascinating was Ellen. So she is the eldest on the island at 35, so you would class that as a later in life virgin. And she's got this like really lovely like cherub like face, like very angelic looking. She's a childcare practitioner, so I was very interested to see someone who obviously has a lot of care and a lot of love in their occupation, and it takes a certain amount of confidence and authority to work in that field. But then when you go into her romantic and love life and self-esteem, it's like night and day, and I thought that like duality was like really interesting to see in someone. But in terms of her journey, like how did you find working with her? Because I feel like there was lots of questions she had about self-worth and, perception.
Yeah, I think you can see like that she may be very confident in her job because she's been doing it and she knows how to do it. But with intimacy, she was a complete novice and very, very naive. Didn't know a lot of things like I don't know. Don't want to give any spoilers. Did we talk about? Did you talk about 69?
Oops, later.
You didn't know what it was. You know what I mean?
I think she has like lack of knowledge and information that she didn't have access to, and she doesn't know how to find, and that like makes her feel like disadvantaged in the process.
Yeah, so and I think that's one of the reasons that she's in some ways one of the bravest people there, because when she faces up against those barriers and those fears, she actually allows herself to like move through them and get to the other side. And so that, I mean, that's even harder than just like, oh, here's a new thing, I'm gonna try it. It's like, oh, here's a new thing, it's really intense, and I'm gonna stick with it and feel my feelings and keep going, and that's what I see that's amazing about Ellen.
I also feel that Ellen really struggles with shame, and you see it like all the participants struggle with shame. It's really clear, but I think she's one of the people that struggle with shame the most. You really see her like working with shame in every exercise, in every minute in the experience. Like when you see the eyes covered and like the hiding, it's really like you see shame in action, and she needs to work a lot against shame, and shame has a powerful force, like really shuts you down.
I think her story is quite applicable to a lot of people, because it's the idea of you can be so confident and good in one part of your life, and then you just have like no knowledge. You're kind of ashamed to kind of explore that side of your life. Like shame is something that affects so many people. And I always think there's a difference between guilt and shame. Like guilt is something you should feel when you do something wrong, and it helps you learn to the next thing. And okay, I stole something from a shop and that wasn't very nice and I shouldn't do that again, or I hurt this person, I shouldn't do that again. But shame, there's no constructive emotion about it. It's literally just making you feel bad for who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And finally, another contestant who kind of has quite a prominent storyline on the show this season is Joy. Joy is of Christian faith, isn't she?
Yes.
So Church of England, I'd imagine, in the UK. And that was really interesting to see like her navigate, shame, especially within her links to Christianity, because I assume she grew up that way. And I found it really interesting when she started working with a sexological body worker. And it was so interesting to see her, basically in the episode, you'd have to watch it, but they get a bit more hands-on and kind of exploring downstairs. And so many people need a stimulant to like trigger sexy thoughts, like either they see someone or, something gets them going or whatever. But it was so interesting to see someone engaging with that feeling on a purely, ooh, that feels nice, like physical, kind of closed out to people or stimulants and just yourself. You have to watch the episode to like really understand what we're speaking about. But that was just such an interesting way of looking at things,
Yeah, it's like she started to establish a relationship with her vulva, and really in a sensational way, like touch herself and see, oh, that feels nice. And that's, it was, and to look, because she had never looked at her vulva before.
I can't, my tits are in the way.
Killing me. But I also think, like we have two major pathways to arousal. One is the body sensation pathway, and one is the psychological stimulation, the brain stimulation. And I think like her, like almost like taking the brain out of the picture with Elil working with her was really helping her to just focus on the sensations in the body and not worry about the right and wrong and the fantasy and all those things. It like allowed her to develop different relationship with her body.
I think you can link that to, a lot of people struggling to let go and release, and, focusing, as we mentioned earlier in the episode, their orgasms as the final achievement of sex, and making it this more like personal thing.
Yeah, and sensational, and getting out of your head and getting out of all of the social messages that she got, people telling her masturbation is bad and it's evil and it's not okay to be bisexual, all of those kinds of things. Like it's very, or, it really shut her down.
Yeah, and I really love the way Elil is. She has like such a calm presence, and she just like steadily with like she like takes all the shame and she does it like it's an instruction. That's what everyone does. You just touch your body and that's what you explore. And I think that gave Joy a lot of permission to just dive in.
Yeah, she really normalized everything.
In my own sex life, I really try not to like pick partners who would like ever make me feel that type of way about my body now. But sometimes like in day-to-day life away from sex, you know, people try and shame you. Let's say you try like a weird food combination and they just can't fathom that you're trying that weird food combination. Or maybe you're doing something a bit different, you're wearing something a bit different, you're being like an individual and true to what you want, and someone is trying to either show, you know, backhanded shade, or they're trying to like shame you up front. But I just find it so easier now to say, what's your problem? Like, what are you trying to do here? And I guess, you know, sometimes like when you're in relationships, it's really hard to do that because you want to assume that the person you're with would never put you in that position. But there is a way of like conversely doing it. And I don't think people are always open to that.
I just think that, you know, it's a combination. You know, I grew up with a lot of shaming around my body and a lot of food shame. So I'm very susceptible to catching it in my environment when people talk about it. So I'm just like constantly like catching it. But one of the things is really like having good conversations with your partner and making sure that they understand what can make you feel like that, but also like starting to do your self-loving journey of like saying I'm great just the way I am, and just like both those pathways of talking and sharing, because most of the time if you're in a loving relationship your partner doesn't really want to shame you, but unless they like don't know what they're doing. So I think communication can really help.
And I'm glad you're setting boundaries out in your life also, not just with your partners, right? And it's like if somebody starts talking about like diets all the time or something like that, I'm like, I don't want to have that. That's not a conversation I'm interested in having, you know?
Yeah.
Because then your brain starts to go, oh no, am I doing it wrong? Am I eating it wrong? And then you start bit of like just going, oh no, this is what feels good in my body. I'm taking care of myself.
Well, I think, Celeste, when you're so solid, like on your own, you're good, and you know, you're upset and someone tries to shame you or whatever, and you take a moment and then you get back into it and you really kind of service yourself, stand on your own 2 feet. No one can affect you or hurt you that deeply. It can hurt for a minute, but that's the best way to kind of have your own sense of worth and then invite people who match that and not be susceptible to people who are going to manipulate you with that. And I think Joy is a really interesting person because of that. I'm an atheist, so
Me too.
make of what you will about that and how I feel about religion. But I think like for the longest time, religions, it's about control. It's about, you know, not having autonomy. And I think it's a really interesting story for Joy, and I'm looking forward to watching it unfold over this series.
And no, I think what you're talking about is confidence, right? If you're like, doesn't matter what anyone else says, I know who I am. And I feel like that's what Joy is establishing in her growth trajectory, is like, it's okay to be who I am. And that relaxes her whole body all the way down to her vagina.
It does.
That's confidence. Yes.
Yeah, and also really like I think there's like this idea of like how much we're supposed to do work on our own and how much someone can supposed to help us, and like how much we get to have someone's help. And I really think that it's really, really hard to do this work on your own. I just want to I don't want people to feel like, oh, I can't get there by myself, because it is really hard. If you think about attachment and how we develop our self-perception, a lot of it is through how people look at us. It's about the parents cooing to us, or, you know, like they're cooing to us, or like telling us good things about who we are as opposed to criticizing us, right? So it's wonderful to have, and that's what I love about the island and being on the island, is we have this group of people and they're all struggling with the same kind of feeling, like I don't fit in, I'm a different person, I'm not the same. And they get like different eyes looking at them, different mirrors telling them, no, you're great, you're doing great. And that's how we kind of do this, starting to internalize confidence inside.
It's so interesting that you can have people who just come out of the womb almost and it feels like, yeah, thank you, I know that about myself, like no compliments needed, I already know. But and then you get people who obviously like are maybe not like that naturally, and then like the parental thing compounds over time. I think that's really fascinating. Just to kind of like wrap up the Virgin Islands segment of the episode, are there any more interesting journeys that you think the viewer is going to look forward to see unfolding? You know, have you got any teasers, spoilers?
I honestly think there are things that are on this show that people have never seen before.
Ever.
Like ever. pathways to self-esteem, you know, and to transformation around everything, dysfunction, virginity, that's never been seen before. So I'm very excited. There's a lot more to come.
Yeah, and it also really ties us to the next part of the show, which is about core desires, because I think following core desires is what actually allows us to help people get to those places in their unique pathways.
And there is also romance on the cards on the island, apparently, but I don't know who between.
There is definitely some romance brewing, and it's so fun to watch. Oh, they're so cute.
Totally.
A common through line of the show is core desires that was speaking more this season than we did last season. And they kind of remind me of a personality test and kind of attachment style and Myers-Briggs tests and all those kind of things that people find fun to do, but are actually really educational in determining, in this case, like what drives you on an intimate sexual level, and like what do you want to feel out of that experience, because so often people feel that sex is just this thing that we do and it's just a function. But I think you guys are stripping it back and really asking, like, no, what do you want out of this experience with someone? Like, how do you want to feel? And like, my mind goes straight to men when I think about this, because women, I think, are naturally or socialized to be a bit better at it. But a lot of men, like, they're just like, what? I just want to get laid. I just want to come.
Yeah, like, what do you mean? What do I want to feel?
I just want to jizz, you know? And tell me a little bit about how you developed this, how it came about, and all the different, you know, core desires that people can have.
Well, I was going to say you can find out a lot about somebody by where they want to jizz, for example.
Or how they want to get there.
Because they would get a different feeling depending.
Where's the most creative place someone's jizzed, Celeste?
I mean, I don't know. You can jizz on an ass, you can jizz on boobs, you can jizz on a face. So, I did have a request once that somebody wanted to jizz in my hair because they'd never gotten to do that before.
There you go.
For example.
And some people just want to do it in public. Some people want to do it in threesomes. Everything has its own template of what people want to feel.
So how did you develop them, and what are they, essentially?
So I want to say something about personality test and the At Your Core quiz that we developed. I think personality tests are kind of like trying to tell you who you are, which I think the quiz really helps you to tell you who you are, and we'll talk a little bit about how we developed it. But I think what we also really trying to do with this quiz is help people to see how they can have, you know, like, it's not like a death sentence. This is who you are, and now you need to like be stuck with it. It's more like, so what do you do with it now? So that's, I think, like where the At Your Core quiz takes you. Like, how can you like have a better life? How do you understanding yourself help you take things not so personally? And how do you like understand that people are different, because people are different, and not take things personally?
Yeah, and I feel like we just dove right into it, but like we didn't even just say like, we have a new quiz, you know?
We have a new quiz.
And I'm so excited about it because I feel like it is going to not only, I mean, it's going to help people really understand how to have better sex. It's going to be such a shortcut, an opportunity for couples to talk about with each other in a completely different language about what kind of sex they want to have. And also it helps you understand yourself interpersonally, like what triggers you, what makes you feel calm and loved and safe. So it's so much more than a personality test, in the sense that it's like a guidebook to like, how can you feel better in intimacy?
And how can you get like the precise sexual experience that will really turn you on? So there's a lot to do out of this quiz. It's really deep.
So we've just looked at my core desires because I did take the quiz before today. Can people take the quiz at home now?
Yes.
And I am a care seeker and trust seeker.
Okay.
So those are my two prongs.
Well, it makes sense why you're bossy then. Oh.
Here you go.
If we can use mine and then kind of like address all the different ones, that would be perfect.
Yeah, so a care seeker really wants care, but they want it to be very particular and specific and just exactly the way they want it. And a trust seeker kind of wants to be in control and a little more dominant. So both of those have a bossy side to them, if you can see, right?
Yeah. It's okay, darling. I'm also bossy. I don't want to feel alone there because I'm also a trust seeker.
I'm not bossy. I
you are
have
a
trust seeker,
seeker.
but I also have confidence seeker. So
Yeah.
confidence seekers like to be very pleasing.
Yeah, which I don't care about at all. I care about getting what I want. And I think like another thing that we saw is that people have like two ways of getting what turns them on. One is we call it the resolution of the wound, because it all comes from wounding, and I think people kind of like, oh my God, my desires come from wounds. Yes, they are, but that's wonderful because our turn-ons are shaped as like the playground. All of us get wounded a little bit growing up, and then we get to play with those wounds with agency and with choice.
And that's so healing.
And so hot, because it's always going to be kind of interesting for us to play with those old experiences.
So like when people go back to their childhood, you can almost like link kind of like in a Freudian way what they're drawn to sexually now. And I guess it could go either ways. It could be like someone when they're younger, they were always being told what to do and they wanted to feel dominant as an adult. So now they're into BDSM.
Exactly.
Someone maybe who's grown up in a caring environment and they just want that reinforced. Like, you really don't know.
Yeah, or they might have lacked care. They might have missed out on care, or they had really good care and then it kind of went away. And so they're like, where's my care?
That's actually very much kind of like the care seeker is like they had really good care maybe at the beginning and they know care is really available. So they're really adamant about it. It's like, come on, I got care. And then something shifted, parents might have gone to work. There's less care. There's something that happened that they were not like, but they're not ready to give up on their care because they know it's available. So they're going to keep wanting it.
Like, yes.
Yeah.
And the trust seeker?
The trust seeker more like might have had experience when they were young of being a little bit more manipulated or humiliated. Can be sometimes in the family. I have it too. We all have it actually.
Well, the three of us. We're all sitting.
Yeah, exactly.
We are doing here.
Sex is therapy.
That's real sex therapy in my eyes. Yeah.
Or it might have been with peers or something like that. And then you kind of feel like you don't ever want to be humiliated again or put down. So you sort of want to be on the top of the pile. That's why you want to dominate or be bossy or tell other people what you want what to do, because you don't want to feel in that like a little bit powerless situation again.
Yeah. And I do want to say one more thing that's
wait.
No,
it's very exposing. It's very exposing. But
No. You want to blush quietly. You are so gorgeous like that. No, seriously. It's so hot. You're so hot. So what I also love about sex? That you get to play with the challenging experiences, but now you have control over them. So for example, if you're a care seeker, you are very likely, or not just you, care seekers are very likely to want to play with a little bit like when care is being withheld from them and they need to kind of, wait for it a little bit. Teased a lot, or they like to be bratty. Because they feel like like many times they got their needs met, but then like suddenly the needs became too much for the caretakers because the caretakers just needed to do other things, so they started to tell them that you were too much. So the care seeker is going to be like, ugh, I just like they would want to push and see that someone can take them.
Yeah, so there's brats out there. Are you a brat?
Yeah, brat summer.
Yeah, exactly.
But in my relationships, like, it's not something that I'm thinking about in the front of my mind. I like someone who stands on business and stuff, and I like someone who will say no to me. I think maybe it's interlinked with people who don't like people who can easily be manipulated. Yeah. And I think there's actually like wider things you can zoom out that aren't just sexual. I think for women, like maybe they definitely want to seek someone who can be in control when it's time to be in control, and like, do something about a situation or, something that's gone wrong. Like, there's nothing less attractive than a man who doesn't know like what's happening in the airport and I can't trust him to navigate his way around the airport, or a man who doesn't like know how to like do a basic function like change the filter on the Hoover or like do a light bulb. Like that doesn't turn me on. Like if you like want to have kids and a life or whatever with me, or like do any part of that, and you can't do like any of those things, then like I don't feel that I can trust you. You know, we've just gone into the real deep part of therapy.
Here we are. No, and I mean, it's important to know that about yourself, right? Like, and I would say people are different. So, you know, it's not universal, these desires. Like some people really want somebody who's super competent, like you do, who's going to take care of things. Other people want to take care of someone else, you know, and it's not always gendered, although there are certainly, there are gendered, like, you know, not dynamics or themes kind of. Yeah, exactly.
So what are the other core desires? So for a clip that we're going to put out on social media, what are the core desires? What's the difference between them? And obviously people can go and do your quiz to find out what they are. So just give us a quick rundown.
Yeah, so I think we can talk about core strategies, because core desires is a whole long list, but there are 6 core strategies, right? So there's the safety seeker, the care seeker, the
reliance seeker, acceptance seeker, trust seeker, and
the confidence seeker.
Okay.
So, and underneath all of those, there's going to be lots of different core desires, which we couldn't list all of them, but we have listed some so far. So, and we want you to take the quiz and find out and get more information about your core desires that way.
Okay. So like, are there different ones that work better with each other, or can you always adapt to each other? Do you notice any patterns with these?
Oh my God.
Oh my God. There's so many. Honey.
Sorry.
Oh, honey.
It's not your first rodeo.
I think not everyone can adapt. I think that's the part that's really important to understand, that people are different. We're going to say it a million times over. People are different, and like really understand that it's not about, it's no one's fault that people are different, but like really go into the dating field or even like long-term relationship, understanding that people are different is so important, because as you said, people try to apply it's like, project, and they try to apply and project whatever they like, and I think that if they're gonna do it to their partner and partner gonna like it, I was like, no, not at all. Sometimes if they're lucky,
but also some strategies definitely work better with others.
Exactly.
Like, you know, 2 trust seekers can be a little bit difficult.
Tough. They're gonna there's gonna be a lot of power struggles between 2 trust
because
seekers.
They both want to kind of be on the top, so it's hard. Somebody has to be like, okay, you can be on the top and I'll be fine.
You need some confidence seekers in the mix.
Is that why I've always ended up with like more, not that they don't have balls, well, some of them don't have balls, but like I've always ended up with like quieter characters who, you know, like to only like come into their power when they have to.
Exactly, because if they're always butting heads with you, you wouldn't stay with them probably.
You'll be like, ooh. You know? So you need someone who can really take good care of you, including knowing how to change the filter in the Hoover and like, you know, doing all those things and find a way in the airport, but also you cannot be overpowered kind of ever.
Yeah, they're going to need to be able to back down when they need to.
Well, that's not a bad thing.
No, it's a good thing. That's what we're saying. That's compatibility.
That's the whole point. There's no bad thing. It's really about who are you most compatible with, and like really understanding it's not like something's wrong with you or something's wrong with your partner. It's just like, where are you actually compatible?
I guess like the challenge with like women who maybe are trust seekers is that men are not socially groomed into like absorbing them very well. Like, you know,
that's right.
Even if it like, not to say that like you'll come to a sexual experience thinking I'm going to peg you, just kind of like saying what you like and what you want to do. Like I remember one time like years ago I was dating this guy and he just wasn't for me in the end, like looking back, but like he went down on me and I just told him a bit to the left, a bit to the right or whatever, and he was like, oh, I didn't like the way you told me what to do after. It made me feel like really emasculated. I was like, grow up, you pussy.
Well, also, like, how am I going to get an orgasm if you can't take any feedback? Because people's pussies are different.
But he was probably a trust seeker and a confidence seeker combination, because he needed to feel really masterful, and he could not take the humiliation of not feeling that he's fantastic already. Yeah, probably not great match for you.
You need a good acceptance seeker or a safety seeker, even, somebody who can take some feedback.
Some reliance seeker, some confidence seeker combo.
What I like about core desires and core strategies is that it seeks to go deeper into what people actually need from that sexual experience or intimacy. Exactly. I try and say both words because I know people kind of have their own meaning towards them. So I hope I'm including all of the feelings with mentioning those two words. Like so often, like when you go online, there's a coach for everything. There's like a sex guru, finance guru, sewing guru, everything guru, like how to wash the dishes guru. But like you're not doing like tips and tricks here. You're telling people to actually go in and discover something. I think people who think like tips and tricks will like solve their erectile dysfunction or their vaginismus or like their deep trauma, it's not going to work. It's like putting a plaster where a wrecking ball is being.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just like feel so seen by you, because I feel like people do think that like there's like tips and tricks, and you just saying that that's actually true. Also, if people tell you they're gurus, run to the other side.
And also seen is one of your core desires.
It is.
So you met her core desire.
Thank you. I feel so seen.
And really, like Somatica, our method in general is a philosophy of intimacy, both emotional and sexual intimacy. And so this quiz is like just like really distills down how do you get the best relationships and the best sex life. And that's what we've, after 20 years of working together, that's what we've like really come up with to help people. So yes, you're right. Intimacy is what's important, and hot tips and tricks do not get to the bottom. Like there's some intensity that has to be like faced, like, oh, I really want this, and this really hurt me, and this scares me, and this excites me. We have to be able to be honest about those things.
And also understanding that sex is deep. It's not just the acts of sex. Like it can, like things like when I see, I work a lot with long-term couples, and you see like when the sex dies over time, it's because people don't take it to the next level. They're still relying on the same old things. And instead of just like, no, we need to go and take the deeper conversations about who we are as human beings and what is it that really turns us on, because those two are really deeply linked. And orgasm is just the reinforcing method of it.
You can touch somebody's nipples or you can touch their soul. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, this was so hot the way you said it.
Sometimes both at the same time.
Well, like, I don't think the culture is matched right now to really push people in that direction. Like when porn is so easily accessible, artificial relationships with AI is more accessible. Like it's not something that like is easy for people to know straight away as they start that part of their lives, whether it's as teenagers or later in life. Like you're kind of up against a challenge to really bring that to people, but like you'd want to expand it to people. You want people to learn about this.
And again, like Danielle said, like if you really want a long-term relationship to last and have an amazing sex life, you need to go deeper, like it just, sexless marriage is everywhere.
Exactly. And really like understanding that even if you think about people who go to porn, you know what they're looking for? They're looking for manifestation of the core desires. They're not going to get it exactly the same way, but they're going to get hints of it, but you can't learn how to have sex from porn, right? And also when people go to AI, that's what they're looking for. They're trying to create a partner that's going to be perfect for them through AI experience.
I think often like imperfections is like sexy, and like when you're like you don't agree with someone, I find that very sexy, or like you're angry or annoyed with them and it's like shut the fuck up, like
there's your brat.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. So sexy.
Do you like the way you said it? I was like, oh, she's revealing herself again. Because I think like, when you understand this, like understand that almost like literally in every sentence we say, our core strategies show themselves out. This is fantastic.
Thank you very much. Well, I was going to say something. It's literally just coming back to me now. I got lost in the shut the fuck up.
The arousal.
Yeah. It is such like a multi-pronged approach. And I guess like most women listening to this, and I suspect for this episode we'll have more women than men. Usually we're quite 50-50. But the women listening to this, they know they'll have an upwards battle having this conversation with their partner, usually who's a male. Like the gays got it on lock, you know, the girls have it on lock. The heterosexual men, they've not got it on lock. Like, how the fuck, Celeste and Danielle, do we like get men stop doing sex from like, oh, we're just gonna slap our bodies against each other, like whatever, to actually like opening up to this stuff? Because it's one thing creating it, it's another thing trying to bring the horse to the water and make it drink the water.
Well, I love men so much. I love men. And when I am with a man, I'm really trying to help him be fully himself and true to himself. I think a lot of women are taught to make men be what they want them to be. And I think men are like, you know, pulling away and pushing against that. Like, I want to know who you are and I want to help you be that. And when I help you be that, I get a lot back. Like, that's my experience. And so I feel like if we have a different mindset as women and we're like, I want to get to know, you know, what is it that really turns you on? And I want to tell you what really turns me on, because I promise you, men do want to be turned on, right?
And not everything turns them on. I think that's
Not
another thing
everything
that we
does.
see now, is that men don't, because of porn, men don't feel that they have to have sex with someone else. So they need to have like motivation. And this motivation is their core desires, right? Otherwise they can go to porn and jack off and get what they want quickly, right?
But we can try it with different kinds of words and touch and like what we're asking for. And, you know, those kinds of things can like ignite excitement in male partners.
So what would you say to the typical, I just want to get laid bros out there? Like, how would you invite them into the space? Give them something to be like, shit, this could be better.
I think women don't really want to teach their partners. They want their partner to know already. So they get very frustrated when their partner in a heterosexual dynamic is not just like knowing exactly what they want. And I think there is like some upset for women for needing to teach men how to love them. But women get way more particular in that way. So I feel like it's, if I want to get what I want, I will take the time to teach my partner about it and see if they want to learn or not, and even if it's a good match for them, because you cannot force someone to be who they're not.
Yeah, and I guess what I would say to the bros out there who just want to get laid, I mean, I understand. I really want to get laid too, you know. I just want to have the best sex possible. So if you want, you can just get laid or you can have the best sex possible. Like, it's your choice. So that's what I would say to them. Like, find out more and you'll have the best sex possible. And people will want to keep laying you over and over again as opposed to just once, you know. And I know there's this idea that men just like want to have a one-offs. And I think that, you know, there are percentage for whom that's true, but I don't actually think that's most men.
And I think those who do, it's an avoidance that they're scared to connect sometimes.
Yeah, and I actually don't think on the deepest level most men are like that. Like, I think most men, you know, a lot of men out there are looking for a relationship, even more than there are women right now. There are men looking for a relationship. So I don't want to dismiss men. I know that happens a lot, but that's not my experience of men. You know, like there's a mess out there in terms of the way a lot of men are behaving, and I hope some changes because of raised awareness are happening. There's also really wonderful men out there.
I do love men. People might not think I love men, but I do. Like, I sex them sometimes too. Like, you know. But no one's just really been inspiring me at the moment.
I understand.
Like, I've just been taking a sabbatical recently because I'm just like, I just don't feel very inspired or like, you know, whatever. Like, I feel like I've had like my sparkle taken out of me. But recently, like, it's come back. So we've gone back onto the horse recently. So,
and I do think like disappointment can be intense. Like the recovery from disappointment can take time for, you know, when you don't get your needs met and you're not being cared for in the right way, it can be kind of devastating a little bit. But I really do think that there are lovely, amazing men there that still, you know, like when I work with men, many times I help them translate the actions into feelings. you know. So when you wanna, I don't know, someone to go down on you, what do you actually feel when you have this experience? And that helps like take it from whatever is considered to be like the more like sexually explicit language into something that's about feelings. And it really, you know, they get kind of like curious about it.
Taking it from just being like choreography to making it like an actual dance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a dance full of like emotion and connection and and play and fun.
Final question, because you just reminded me of something, which I think is like a fun question to end on. Because we said it was like a dance and people can connect with different ways. Is there an occupation, if you've had sex with them, that you think like has a really good sexual energy? You know, a particular job? Because like dancing,
well, I mean, dancer is a really
dancers,
good example. Like,
yeah,
like salsa dancers or something like that, because they know how to lead, so they know how to move a body and like notice subtle little cues and respond to them. Because when you're a lead in dance, you're actually following your follower very subtly. So definitely, I think dance instructors can be amazing lovers. Yeah,
or massage therapists. That too. Because they also like get in tune with the body and they learn how to listen to a body.
Yeah, to the energy and the muscles.
Because there's a common idea that athletes all fuck the same way. You know, like sports athletes, they do sex a very particular way. So it's interesting to look at it all reflected into, you know, who people identify in their workplace as well.
But athletes are also very embodied, and they have to learn all sorts of techniques to, you know, hit a ball really far or like catch or, you know, so I think that there can be a lot of potential for learning with athletes as well.
Yeah, because they also, you know, they always master their skills, so they're more likely to listen to some coaching in the bedroom.
They're good at being trained.
They're good at being trained.
It makes you, sorry, that was meant to be the final question, but it's not. It makes you curious to look at other people. Like, I wonder what like an ice cream van man is like, or like, you know, like what like a librarian, you know, like it makes you curious, doesn't it?
Oh, the ice cream man's going to give you sweets. And the librarian's going to know how to whisper sweet nothings in your ear, right?
Do you Brits have a kink around libraries? I just thought about it when we went eating in a library restaurant. I was like, it felt sexy. There was something there that felt kind of dirty, sexy, Harry Potter style.
There is actually there's a film called Atonement. I've not watched it for many years, but it's one of these period films of like probably like World War something, 1 or 2, whichever one. And there is like a very sexual, hot, well-referenced sex scene with Keira Knightley and James McAvoy in a library. It's quite well referenced, so maybe there is something to do with the library.
Oh my God, there was a library at UC Santa Cruz where I went to undergrad, and I would get so like, I would just be studying and all this sexual energy would build up inside me. Then I would have to go into the bathroom and masturbate. And it was really nice because they had like these black walls so you kind of see yourself in them inside the stalls. It was hot.
Okay. Well,
that's how I made it through my undergrad, just dealing with that tension, you know.
So if you ever go to a library, I guess it's not just books for you.
No, I mean, you know, it's enough build up and I need to take care of myself.
Okay, guys, where can people find your links and all that kind of wonderful stuff?
So definitely check out the quiz in somatica.com/quiz. And you can find us on socials at Dr. Danielle Harrell on Instagram.
Oh, I thought it was Celeste and Danielle for the quiz. It's Somatica? Okay, cool.
Somatica.com/quiz.
Okay.
Yeah.
My social is Celeste Hirschman.
Yeah. And on TikTok, it's Somatica.
And when is Virgin Island airing?
So Virgin Island is airing on Mondays and Tuesday on Channel 4. So make sure you watch it.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. It was so much fun.